this is Charmaine from Fantastic Crafts. I hope all of you guys had a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. I know I had a blast this weekend. I was at the MadeItCon and I had an absolutely fun time. So much that I am a little late on this video, but I decided I would be a little late because I love this card, so take a little bit of time to create this card to show you guys how to create it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. It is this beautiful, beautiful mermaid card, and I really did lit the paperwork for this card because the mechanism of this card, the book-like feel to this card, is what makes this card amazing. Let's begin to create this wonderful card. To begin, I cut a 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock into 4 1/4 by 11. So just cut it in half. Then I took those two pieces. One I cut at 4 1/4 by 8.5, and then the other I cut in 4 1/4 by 8 3/4. So the first one, the 4 1/4 by 8.5, I scored that at 1/2 inch, followed by 2 5/8. Then 5 7/8, and then 8 inches. Then I took the 4 1/4 by 8 3/4 piece of cardstock and I scored that at 5 3/8 and then 5.5. After I had folded all those crease lines, then I started to assemble this card. Started with the 4 1/4 by 8.5 piece of cardstock that I had. I used that center fold right there to cut out a square. You can do any shape. I decided to just use this shape because I really am in love with this Gina Marie Designs little dies that she has, because it's just amazing in price and the quality is great, and I love the stitch mark it creates. So I wanted to use this little cardstock set that I had. It's a paper pack. It's called Mermaid Tail, and I absolutely love it. And you know what? I was saving this particular pack to create something just like this, and I didn't realize that until I was creating, and then I was like, oh yes, I have this perfect paper pack that I've been wanting to use and haven't had the chance to use. So I just cut out a matte piece, and you want to do this before you put any of your 3D or your fancy fold part in. Then I took this little book-like little cardstock that I created earlier, and I'm going to take it to the second score line. So the second score line is the place you put that fold onto, and then the first score line is where the card actually folds in. And then the second little tab right there, you also put a little bit of glue, and then you attach that to the corner or the end of that card. And then once it dries just a tad bit, I kind of like to fold it up a few times just to get that to work and kind of mold it into place so it opens just how I wanted it to. I then took a little piece of cardstock that was 2 1/4 by 4 3/16, and I scored that at 1/2 inch on each side. So I just scored it 1/2 inch on one side, and then I turned it around and then scored it at another 1/2 inch on the other side. I cut this little cardstock into little strips, one at 1 inch, then the other at 3/4, and the other remaining one was a little less, probably 1/2 inch, and it kind of made a ladder of different kind of tiers of this little pop-up effect. So it kind of goes lower to highest, so you can stack your elements very nicely. So I put the one that was largest on the foreground, and then the one that was the one that was the thinnest on the foreground, and the one that's the largest all the way in the back, so it has an extra bit of layer just so it can stand up and my elements can all be seen beautifully. Now that the hardest part of the card is already completed, now is the decorating part. So I just cut out some mats, and I just put this little beautiful mermaid background onto the front and the back of my cardstock, or actually rather my card. So it created this beautiful front and then also a back. Now here's the part I would do differently if I were to recreate this card. See where that crease line is? I would have cut two different pieces of cardstock my designer paper to put on that. Because I had forgotten that, it kind of bent a little when I closed this card, but it is beautiful nonetheless. So I just wanted to show you that even if you forget something or think you didn't do it correctly, it's still beautiful. It is a handmade card. I think anyone would be just happy with receiving a card like this and would display it no matter what. And all the imperfections you see, you're the only one that will see it. So I really encourage you to create it. So once I was done with all that, I just started decorating this card. I used the sticker and my little anti-static tool to take away the sticky from my stickers. And then I put those into my little tiered layers to create the layers of depth and images going forward and back and just different layers. And it looked really awesome. And now you can have a blast decorating this. I did. There was a point where I had to actually stop my recording because I was getting a little too carried away. So some elements you may have not seen me creating just because otherwise this video would have been much longer than you would have wanted to see. But I did have a blast. You can create this card any way you want to. I love mermaids, so I decided to stick with the mermaid theme, and I used the stickers. I didn't do any stamping on this card because I wanted to show you that just with a paper pack you can create something beautiful. You don't always have to stamp and color, although those are awesome and very fun things to do. Sometimes you want to change it up a little bit, and sometimes you just want to create with something a little bit more simple. And because this card had such an amazing element to it with the pop-up and the fancy fold, I wanted the other stuff to be a little bit more less time consuming and still a wow effect. And I think this really did give it that really nice effect. And you can still write your sentiment or your message for your recipient, and it's still gorgeous. I really loved this card. I really hope you guys did too. And I know with these kind of fancy fold cards, sometimes it can get a little confusing. So if you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to either email me or you can write me a comment on this video. That's the best way, just so I can get it right away. And I will gladly help with whatever questions you may have. And I really hope you enjoyed this card. I did want to give a big thank you to all my new subscribers. Welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this card, and I hope you enjoyed the content I create. Please like this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, have a great day, everybody. Bye.